Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into this one, which is a tactics video, make sure you go ahead and hit that big red button down below because we haven't done one of these in a while, but this is one of the biggest games of the season. Leeds United versus Sheffield United at Bramall Lane on this Monday coming up. Let me know what you think is going to be the score in the comments down below as well, but let's get into this tactical previews. Now, earlier in the season when we played Sheffield United played a back three, and apparently that was out of the norm for them. They have been for the rest of the season playing a 4-2-3-1, which can change out of possession, but we'll get into that. But their 4-2-3-1 has been very solid for them. They've conceded the third least amount of goals after Burnley and then Leeds, and they've got some decent defenders in there. They've got some players like Ahmed Todzic and Robinson at centre-back. They've got Clark and Burrows at full-backs. Now, according to the kind of research that I've done and what I've looked into, they are what you would call maybe a stay-at-home defence. A lot of these defenders won't really get forward. If Harrison Burrows is playing, though, on that left-hand side, if some of you will remember, if you're big fans of the channel, that a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, I made a video saying Leeds should sign Harrison Burrows because he'd be really good for us at left-back from Peterborough. Sheffield United have obviously watched my video and gone, well, he knows what he's talking about, let's sign him. So I've accidentally done us over there. But Harrison Burrows, very good player. He might be willing to get forward a little bit more than what Clark is on the right-hand side. But Harrison Burrows, still not a massively attacking number. He could play in the midfield as well. That's the thing about Burrows. He's able to play in the midfield. Their main strong man in their holding midfield spots is Vinny Souza. He is very, very good at what he does, a destroyer in that midfield. And he's one of those players where it's quite tough to get past him. But if you can have the interplay and you can have the passing quick enough, which is something we've struggled with before, then you can get around this team in general. We'll talk about that soon. They've got players like Raksaki out on the right hand side, who apparently is better coming off the bench, but has been starting games recently. Tom Cannon and Campbell are kind of interchangeable for Sheffield United at the moment, and apparently neither of them are particularly firing on all cylinders. The main interesting one, though, the main one we've got to get to is Gus Hamer. Now, Gus Hamer is someone who Leeds targeted, wanted to sign apparently in the summer and couldn't get across the line because Sheffield United were asking for a lot of money. And I can understand why. He's definitely one of the best players in the league. And apparently everything that is good that Sheffield United do comes through him. And there's a worry for Blades fans that if Gus Hamer is not in the team, they don't create things and they don't win games. Now, he missed their last game, and apparently they're kind of thinking that that's because he's wanted for this game. It's a big game. They wanted to make sure he was okay. Now, Gus Hamer is a big one to watch, but I think we can handle him. Let's get into the actual tactics now. We've talked about a little bit about their team. Now, like I said, their team sets up like this. So it's a 4-2-3-1. It's a very similar setup to the way that Leeds play. But what you're going to notice is when they are out of possession, it does become a 4-4-2. And it becomes a lot more compact. So let's say that Leeds had the ball playing out from the back, because Leeds a lot of the time do play out from the back. It's very rare that we go long. So usually you would see maybe you'd see a centre defensive midfielder, drop in between the centre backs. You'd see the full backs go high. You'd have another holding midfielder in here, and maybe Aronson would come in alongside to help out. So what's going to happen is, with their front men like such, we're going to put them in here to make us have a little bit of a 4-4-F-2, as they used to say, and then move their defence up to the halfway line, as you would expect most teams do. And even put the goalkeeper a little bit out of his box, because that's what happens, isn't it? So let's say that Leeds played out from the back. Now, a lot of the time we do play out from the back towards one of the centre-backs. If the centre-back for Leeds gets the ball, it is these two players' job to stop the pass directly into this midfield man here, whoever that may be. If Aronson's come deep for it, even if sometimes Piru's come deep for it, or let's say it's Tanaka and Gruev's the one who's dropped in, that ball between those two players is their job is to cut it off for Sheffield United, to try and force Leeds to go out wide. Now, if these Leeds player decides to go out here, then both of the players for Sheffield United will press at the same time in the hope of catching them off guard and forcing them into a panicked long clearance, or losing the ball entirely and turning over possession. Now, this is just, it's not a massively complicated press, but it is something that Leeds are going to have to play around. Now, the reason I think that a team like Sheffield United and a team like Leeds and whoever else presses with the best team in the Championship, or the best teams in the Championship, they have a lot of joy because other teams that they've played, so your Plymouths, your Portsmouths, your teams who have just been promoted or are down low in the table, they are going to panic a lot more easily than somebody like Leeds. So therefore, Sheffield United are going to have a lot of success pressing and forcing them into errors, because a lot of the time they're not as skilled a footballer and they're not as calm and composed under that pressure. Whereas you see somebody like Gruev drop in with Ampadu and Rodon in that situation. Those guys are really calm. Those guys know how to play out the back. They've been doing it constantly throughout this season, and most of them for last season as well. They know exactly what they're doing in those situations. So I don't think we're going to get caught out too much by this press. It's not a super aggressive press. It's a mid-block, so it's not necessarily that they'll come out high pressing, Gegen pressing up at our back line, but it's when the pass is made. So say that they're kind of sat in here, right, saying, okay, what are you going to do with it? Basically asking Leeds the question, like, are you going to try and break us down in midfield? It's a similar situation to what happened against Leicester last year as well. They decided to pack out that midfield with as many players as possible, make it difficult for Leeds to play through. Now, the difference this season, I think, is, well, we did have ball carriers last season, but I do feel like this season we've got some players who can really offer an outlet. Give the ball to Manor Solomon, he'll go past a man, he'll open up a bit of space. Give the ball to Dan James, he can now go past men, or he can run into space as well. I think you've got players who, in a situation like this, when it is tight in midfield, offer you out balls. So let's say that everything is blocked off here. Leeds are passing the ball between the two centre-backs, between the three centre-backs with a makeshift centre-back being Gruev. Leeds have an option, because Dan James will just go, all right then, I'm gone, and he'll set off, and Ampadu could maybe find a ball over the top. But even if he doesn't, Dan James making this run pulls this player out of position, which might allow this player, who's the fullback, to cut inside Bogle, and then you might have a situation where you can play into the midfield. There's certainly situations where Leeds can manoeuvre this to their advantage. Sheffield United are a hard-working team who try to press the ball in the midfield and try to stop you playing through them, and therefore they've been fairly successful not conceding goals. They are struggling at the moment to score a massive amount of goals from their strikers. They've scored a few goals from defenders and wingers and things like that. But I think overall Leeds have got them covered in that aspect, because with the way that Leeds play as well, you have the fact that you have Gruev in here, for example. Let's say that Sheffield United are attacking, and they've got Raksaki out here, and they've got a striker in here, and they're trying to get the ball into the box. This is the ball. They play the ball out wide. Even if you've got a winger high up here, you often see Gruev come over, take this spot, become an extra fullback, and just stop the cross coming in. Bogle, really good at getting back and stopping crosses coming, whether he blocks them out into touch for a corner or a throw-in, he often gets a touch on it and stops the opposition being able to actually cross the ball into the box. So I think in that sense, we are fairly well covered. Now, what I don't want to happen is Leeds players to get pulled out of position. Somebody like Gus Hamer, with his passing range, you've also got Callum O'Hare, if he's fit. I'm not sure on that front. But players like that who, Callum O'Hare, hard worker, but good at passing the ball as well. Gus Hamer, very good at finding those passes, very good at shooting from the edge of the box. So it's important that we don't let them have too much space in and around the box, because they do have goals in their midfield. Now, when it comes to attacking them back, Leeds may struggle in some aspects. Now, these aspects may be the fact that, like I said before, their fullbacks don't really get too high. Now, a lot of the time, Leeds have had a lot of success when teams have come out and properly tried to go at us and attack us. Now, what I think is going to be different in this game is the fact that Sheffield United are going to sit back. I think it's going to be, they're not going to sit back massively, but you get what I mean, don't you? It's not a massive willingness to send fullbacks flying forward is what I'm trying to get at. So when Leeds are playing through and they're trying to play through the lines, this gap here is often going to be closed. They're going to have defenders, defensive midfielders, sorry, that can come in and protect this area. Just making sure you can definitely see that. Protect this area because they know that Leeds love the half spaces. If you don't know what the half space is, it's this area here between the edge of the 6-yard box. Can you see that? No, you can't. Let's show you on the other side. There you go. It's this area here between the edge of the 6-yard box and the edge of the box itself. So it's this strip, and it goes all the way up the pitch to the other side. And Leeds, and Daniel Farke specifically, loves to try and get in that space. He loves to have, let's say, Bogle goes down the wing, which allows Dan James to go into the half space, which then gives you loads of options. You can either pass the ball down there, then you can play it inside. There's a lot of options. You could see Bogle go in there, and you could see that Dan James goes out on the wing as well and offers that crossing option. Now, there's going to be less space, I think, in there than what we usually might have, because they are going to have defensive midfielders who will come and cover the half space to basically say, this channel here is the left back's channel. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, this channel here, from here to here, is the left back's channel. Let's lift that up a little bit. And this channel here is the centre back's channel, which would also leave this little thin sliver here for the Leeds attacker to get into. But what we're saying here is that they will actually probably try and pack a holding midfielder in here to try and block that off from Leeds being able to get in there. So Leeds are going to have a bit of a job on their hands trying to break down the opposition here, trying to break down Sheffield United. So that's going to be one of the concerns for me. Now, Leeds have been creating a lot of chances recently and have been really, really good at it. And even against Sunderland, where, yeah, we did create quite a few chances, we needed set pieces to score, and Strout came up with the goods. It does feel like a lot of things are going our way at the moment. We need to be strong on defensive set pieces. Rodon, Ampadu winning headers, because their centre-backs do get up for headers and do win and do win them and score goals. So it's important that we make sure that we definitely are concentrated for every single set piece. When we're taking our attacking set pieces, actually deliver them into the box with a bit of quality. You might see that Strout gets his 50p head on it and he gets a goal. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think Sheffield United are going to make it an ugly game for us by not really opening up any chances for us. What I'm hoping for is an early goal, and we always say that. It's very much a cliche. But what I'm hoping for is an early goal, because it allows us to then go, okay, now they have to come out a bit and open up and attack us. So that's kind of my thinking on it. I think that it's going to be a cagey affair unless somebody scores early on, in which it's then going to open up a little bit. So that's kind of my thoughts on the game. Let me know what you think down below. Of course, I will be live for that game, and that's on Monday night, so check that out. And also make sure you watch the match reaction as well. And also there is something coming up on the channel very shortly that some people will be very excited about. So look out for it on the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, we rebranded, new logo and stuff, so it's still me. Hi, still me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.